I had known for weeks that something was off. It wasn't just the little things, the distant glances, the long hours at the office, the faint tension in her voice when I asked about her day. No, this was different. This was a slow, creeping feeling, a coldness that settled between us like fog. Her name is Olivia. She's smart, ambitious, magnetic, the kind of woman who lights up a room when she enters. But lately, that light had dimmed for me. She had started coming home later than usual, sometimes with mysterious excitement that she tried hard to hide. She'd brush off questions with casual smiles, claiming it was just work or late dinners with colleagues. I wanted to believe her, but something in my gut said otherwise. That night, she told me she had dinner with her boss, a man named Marcus, who she mentioned before but always in passing. She said it was just business, casual talk over wine, nothing serious. I nodded, tried to hide the knot forming in my stomach. I watched her leave, the door clicking behind her, and I felt a strange calm, not the kind that comes from relief, but the kind that comes from decision, from knowing that tonight I would finally draw a line. I sat on the couch, staring at the faint glow of the hallway light, listening to the ticking of the clock, counting the minutes. I didn't touch my phone, didn't scroll through social media. This was about me, about reclaiming the part of my life that had slowly been swallowed by doubt, tension, and unspoken betrayal. When she returned, she was laughing lightly, still wearing the dress she'd picked for the dinner, her hair cascading over her shoulders. The smile she wore was radiant, but I didn't respond. I didn't even stand. She looked at me, puzzled. "You've been quiet all night. What's wrong?" I shook my head slowly, letting a small, controlled sigh escape. "Nothing," I said softly. And in that moment, I realized something. My silence would speak louder than any argument, any confrontation. Tonight, I was going to erase myself from her life. Not with shouting, not with drama, but with the quiet precision of someone who had given everything and found it returned only in distance. She sat down, chatting about her dinner, tried to include me, laughing at things I didn't find funny anymore. I nodded occasionally, barely looking at her. I could feel her growing uneasy, a tension creeping into her words. "You're acting strange," she said finally. "Are you mad? Did I do something?" I smiled faintly, almost sadly. "Not mad," I said, "just realizing things." Olivia tilted her head, suspicious, scanning my expression for a clue, for a hint of anger, guilt, or hurt. But I had none left. Every ounce of frustration, disappointment, and exhaustion had been distilled into this moment of clarity. I was calm, sharp, and deliberate. She moved closer, her voice softening. "Come on, talk to me. We're married. We can handle this." I shook my head again, slow and final. "Some things," I said quietly, "don't need handling. They need leaving." Her eyes widened, confusion and fear battling across her face. "Leaving? What are you talking about?" I stood, slowly, deliberately, letting her take in the fact that I wasn't shouting, wasn't angry, wasn't panicking. I was simply gone. Not physically yet, but mentally, emotionally, and soon entirely. I had already started erasing myself from every aspect of our shared life. Accounts, routines, habits. The little ways my presence had woven itself into her days. Tonight would be the final cut. She looked at me, disbelief clear, as I started packing a bag. A small duffel, nothing extravagant, just essentials. Toothbrush, change of clothes, charger. My movements were calm, measured. No drama, no last-minute pleas. This wasn't about revenge. It was about reclaiming dignity, about refusing to be invisible in a life that no longer wanted me. I don't understand," she whispered, panic creeping into her voice. "Are you leaving me?" Just like that. I looked at her, truly looked, and for the first time in months, I saw her, really saw her, the woman I had loved, who had slowly slipped away without acknowledgement, without notice, without care. "I'm not leaving because I stopped loving," I said softly. "I'm leaving because you stopped seeing me at all, and it's too late to go back." Her breath hitched. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came. Panic flashed in her eyes, then disbelief, then something like regret. But it was too late. My bag was packed. My decision was made. I glanced around the apartment one last time. The space we had shared for years, filled with memories, both good and bad, felt smaller, suffocating, no longer mine. I took a deep breath and stepped toward the door. And then, just before opening it, I paused. I didn't want a scene. I didn't want shouting, pleading, or anger. I wanted a clean break, a moment of clarity for both of us. I left the key on the counter, took my bag, and walked out without a word. The hallway lights of the building flickered in the evening air as I stepped out. The city hummed around me, indifferent and alive. I felt a strange liberation, a sharp awareness that the life I had been drowning in for months was no longer mine to carry. Tonight, I had erased myself from her life, and she didn't even see it coming. The door closed behind me with a soft click. Almost inaudible, but to her, it must have sounded like thunder. I didn't slam it. I didn't leave a note. Just silence, the kind that fills every corner and whispers louder than words ever could. I didn't go far that night. I sat in my car, parked 2 blocks away, watching the building. The lights in our apartment stayed on for a long time. I imagined her walking through the rooms, calling my name, confusion turning into disbelief, disbelief into panic. She'd probably think it was some kind of joke, that I'd gone for air, that I'd be back. But I wasn't coming back. When the light in the living room finally went out, I started the engine and drove. No destination, just away. By morning, my phone was flooded with missed calls, messages, at first gentle and curious. Hey, where'd you go? Then anxious. This isn't funny, come home. And eventually desperate. Please, talk to me. I'm scared. But I didn't answer. I didn't need to. I had spent too many nights begging for emotional scraps while she was out networking and working late. I had given her all my explanations, my patience, my trust, and she had spent them freely without care. Now she would have to sit with the silence she created. 2 days later, I deactivated my social accounts, changed my number, and transferred my savings into a separate account I quietly opened months earlier, a precaution I hadn't known I'd need. I left the city. Olivia's messages eventually stopped, but a week later, one came through from an unknown number. You can't just vanish like that. You owe me an explanation. No, I thought I owed myself peace. I built a new rhythm. New city, small apartment, quiet life. No reminders, no triggers. I got a modest job at a local firm, changed my name in casual use, and for the first time in years, I could breathe without checking my phone for signs of deceit. For months, I didn't look back. Until one evening, a year later, a knock echoed at my door. I froze. It was soft, hesitant, like someone unsure they should even be there. I opened it, and there she was, Olivia. She looked different, not in the polished, confident way she used to. Her hair was shorter, her makeup faint, her eyes rimmed with exhaustion. She looked like a ghost of the woman I once knew. She whispered, "You really did it. You really left." I didn't answer. I just stepped aside. She entered slowly, eyes scanning the simple apartment. The bare walls, the faint scent of coffee, the absence of her in every corner. She turned to me, trembling. "I thought you'd come back. I thought you were angry. But when the days turned into weeks, I realized you were gone for real." Her voice cracked. "You didn't even say goodbye." "I didn't need to," I said quietly. "You said enough for both of us every time you lied." Her lips parted, ready to argue, to deny, but the words didn't come. Instead, she sank onto the couch and whispered, "Marcus fired me." I didn't respond. She laughed bitterly, a sound with no joy. "You were right about him. He didn't care about me, not really. The dinners, the projects, it was all just him testing how far I'd go. And when I finally realized what I'd thrown away, it was too late." Silence stretched between us, heavy, raw. She wiped her eyes and said, "I came home that night, and everything was gone. Your clothes, your books, your photos, even the coffee mug you used every morning. It was like you'd never existed." I couldn't breathe. I met her gaze, calm, steady. That's how I felt long before I left. Her eyes welled up again. I deserve that, she said quietly. I thought there'd be time to fix it. Time isn't the same thing as care, I said. You had time. You just didn't use it. She nodded slowly, her shoulders slumping as the weight of her choices finally crushed her. I still see you, you know, she said softly. In my dreams, in every place we went. You erase yourself, but I can't erase you. I looked away. You don't get to remember me like that. You get to remember the silence. The moment you walked in and realized what you'd lost. For a long time, she sat there, staring at the floor, tears silently carving paths down her face. Then she whispered, I wish I'd known that dinner was the last time I'd see you as my husband. I turned toward the window, watching the evening light fade. You never saw me as your husband that night, I said quietly. You saw me as the man waiting at home while you gave your best self to someone else. The words hung in the air, final and unshakable. After a moment, she stood, her hands trembling. I'm sorry, she said, for everything. I didn't move, didn't answer. She waited a moment longer, then walked to the door. Before leaving, she turned back, eyes filled with the kind of regret that no apology could fix. You're really not coming back, are you? I shook my head once. You already came home to an empty life once, Olivia. You don't get to do it twice. The door closed again, the same quiet click as the night I left. But this time, it wasn't me disappearing. It was her finally realizing that I had been gone long before she noticed.